In a world where everyone's constantly posting, sharing, and oversharing, there's one thing almost nobody is doing anymore: being silent. But not just any silence. We're talking about strategic silence, the kind that holds power, keeps people guessing, and lets you stay 2 steps ahead while everyone else is still talking. Back in the 16th century, Niccolo Machiavelli knew this better than most. Sure, he gave some pretty direct advice in The Prince, but his smartest moves were actually about what you shouldn't say. He wrote, "The vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances," because he knew that talking creates appearances, but silence preserves truth. Today we live in a time where people think that being transparent is a virtue. Everyone's trying to be seen, understood, and heard. But here's the problem. The ones who talk the most usually give away the most, and that includes their leverage. Meanwhile, those who stay quiet, they win without ever saying they're trying to win. The hidden cost of talking too much. Back in Machiavelli's time, saying the wrong thing could get you exiled or executed. Today it might not be that extreme, but unnecessary words can still hurt you. Every time you speak, you do 3 things. 1. You create expectations. When you say what you're planning, people hold you to it. If you change your mind later, you look unreliable. But if you stay quiet, you're free to pivot whenever you want, without anyone questioning you. 2. You reveal your thinking. The more you explain, the more people understand how your mind works. That means they can manipulate you, counter you, or even outsmart you. 3. You lose your edge. Machiavelli said, "It is far safer to be feared than loved." Why? Because fear comes with distance, and distance comes with mystery. The more you explain yourself, the more ordinary you become. And ordinary people don't lead, they follow. Think about it. The guy who talks nonstop in meetings slowly becomes background noise. The person who overshares every personal detail on social media, predictable. The leader who responds to every little criticism, smaller every time they do. Machiavelli wouldn't call that authentic. He'd call it giving away power for free. The 3 types of strategic silence isn't about being mute. It's a tool, a weapon, a chess move. And when used right, it comes in 3 powerful forms. 1. Information gathering silence. Let's say you're in a negotiation. The other person speaks first. They've just shown their hand. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Translation: the fool speaks first. The wise person waits, listens, watches. That way, you collect intel before you make your move. This kind of silence builds a massive advantage. While everyone else is revealing what they want, what they think, and what they're afraid of, you're collecting data. You'll see this everywhere. In business deals, the person who speaks less usually walks away with more. In relationships, the one who listens more understands more. In competition, the quiet one executes while the loud one keeps announcing what they are going to do. 2. Authority building, silence power often comes from perception. People respect what they can't fully grasp. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must imitate the fox and the lion. The lion roars, but the fox stays quiet, avoids traps, and watches from the shadows." That's how silence builds authority. If you're constantly explaining, justifying, and reacting, you look insecure. But when you speak only when necessary, every word has weight. It's the reason why. The CEO says one sentence and the room listens. The confident person makes a point and lets it hang. The most respected voices speak less, but get heard more. Strategic silence isn't about avoiding criticism. It's about responding only when it makes an impact. 3. Ambiguity preserving silence. Sometimes saying nothing at all gives you the most power. Why? Because ambiguity makes people guess, and when they guess, they project their own hopes, fears, and beliefs onto you. Machiavelli once said, "It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But really, this goes deeper. Sometimes it's safer to be misunderstood than to be fully known. Think about how politicians operate. They'll say something vague, and somehow 2 totally different groups walk away thinking, "They're on our side." That's no accident. The same strategy works in business and leadership too. Keep your plans broad enough that people fill in the blanks the way they want to. You buy yourself flexibility, deniability, and control, all without saying anything concrete. This kind of silence isn't lying. It's about not locking yourself into something before it's time. Because once you've said it out loud, people expect you to stick to it. And if the situation changes, you're stuck. The psychological power of silence. Strategic silence doesn't just protect your strategy. It messes with people's minds in ways that speech never can. 1. It creates projection. When you're silent, people don't just wonder what you're thinking. They start making up stories. They fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. Maybe they think you're confident. Maybe they think you're mad. Maybe they think you're 10 steps ahead. But the key is, they don't know. And that gives you power. That's why skilled negotiators use silence to break people down. The longer you stay quiet, the more uncomfortable the other person gets. And they'll often talk themselves into giving you what you want. 2. It establishes dominance. In any group, the person who talks the most is often trying to prove something. The one who speaks less, listens more, and chooses their words carefully. That's the one people pay attention to, because silence communicates confidence. It says, I don't need to impress you. You see it in job interviews. The candidate who calmly asks sharp questions stands out more than the one who rambles through their resume. You see it in meetings. The quiet person gets taken more seriously, because when they finally do speak, everyone listens. Even in arguments, silence can win. Not because you're avoiding the issue, but because you're not feeding the drama. 3. It creates mystique. Let's face it, what people can't understand, they often respect more. If you lay out your every move, your every thought, your every flaw, you become predictable. And predictable doesn't inspire power, it invites challenge. But if you reveal only what's needed, if you let people see just the surface, they'll assume there's more underneath. That assumption can become its own kind of strength. Look at great leaders, the ones who keep their reasoning private, who don't explain every decision. Those are the ones who feel larger than life. Not because they're better, but because they keep just enough in the shadows. The danger of too much transparency. These days, we're told to be authentic. Speak your truth. Be open. Communicate more. And while that sounds noble, Machiavelli would say, you're handing over your power. He once wrote, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. In other words, if you lock yourself into something just to be seen as authentic, you might regret it when the situation changes. Too much transparency can trap you. In the workplace, it looks like oversharing unfinished ideas, exposing your strategies before understanding your opponent, or revealing frustrations that can be used against you. In relationships, it shows up as confessing too much too soon, laying out your entire emotional past, or planning your future out loud before it's even secure. And every time you do it, you give people a way to predict you, to manipulate you, to control your narrative. This isn't about lying or being cold. It's about speaking with purpose, not impulse. It's about using silence as a tool, not as a weakness. Practicing strategic silence. So, how do you apply this in real life, without going mute or becoming emotionally unavailable? Here's how. 1. Lead with curiosity, not opinions. Before you speak your mind, ask questions. Listen deeply. Understand the other person's perspective first. That way, you're not guessing. You're calculating. This is especially powerful in negotiations. The more you know about someone else's limits and motives, the less you have to reveal about yours. 2. Embrace ambiguity when it buys you time. If you're not ready to commit, don't. Keep things open. Let your direction be felt, but not fully defined. That gives you space to adapt when circumstances shift. In leadership, this might mean sharing the vision, but leaving room for how you'll get there. In dating or friendships, it might mean showing care, but not pouring everything out before trust is earned. 3. Get comfortable with the pause. Most people rush to fill silences. Don't. When you make a point, let it land. When someone criticizes you, don't rush to defend. When the room gets awkward, hold your ground. That silence, it's not a void, it's pressure, it's gravity. It makes your presence felt without saying another word. Speak less. Win more. Machiavelli never said to be silent all the time. He said to speak strategically, to talk when it serves a goal, and shut up when it doesn't. The best communicators are never the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who know what not to say. They keep people guessing. They protect their leverage. They control the conversation without dominating it. And in today's world of endless talking, endless posts, endless noise, silence is the loudest power move you can make. So the next time you feel like explaining yourself, defending your position, or filling the awkward pause, ask yourself, is this helping me or just making me predictable? If it's the latter, take a breath. Say nothing. Let them wonder, because while they're still talking about winning, you're already winning.